Big Buck Registry's Big Buck Podcast, episode number 40, Making History with Milo Hanson. Big Buck Registry is a virtual museum of hunting stories. We preserve a piece of Americana by interviewing and recording hunters about their hunts and experiences from across the country. And who knows, maybe we'll learn a thing or two along the way that'll help us take our hunt to the next level.
Hello, fellow hunters. This is Carrie Zilka from the Wild World of Carrie Z podcast. You know, I don't always listen to other hunting podcasts, but when I do, I listen to the Big Buck Registry's Big Buck podcast. Stay hunting, my friends.
In 3, 2, 1, go.
This is Dusty Phillips from Chubby Tines Outdoors.
This is Jay Scott from the Big Buck Registry.
You guys need to get pumped up. We have an awesome, awesome podcast.
This is the show of all shows.
This is a show of a lifetime.
Yeah. I'm not sure that we can top this, and no disrespect to any of our other guests that we've ever had on before. But there's only one person in this entire world that currently holds the world record buck.
The world record typical whitetail,
Yes.
Boone and Crockett.
Right. It's not the fattest chubby tine buck you've ever seen.
It's not the biggest buck on the Big Buck Registry that you've ever seen.
No. But it is the most perfect, widest racked, number 1 inch, most symmetrical buck you will ever see, most likely
in the world.
In the world at this time, probably in your lifetime.
The Hanson Buck.
The Hanson Buck.
We are about to interview Milo Hanson.
Milo Hanson is going to speak with us, and to anybody that wants to listen to this, he agreed. He agreed to talk to us and share that story from 1993 when he shot the world record buck.
How could you not be pumped up to listen to this podcast right now? You got to be pumped.
It's a legend, Dusty. It is a legend of legends.
It's a dream of mine. If anybody else could have joined us on a podcast, it would be Milo Hanson. And he's joining us tonight.
Right. Like, if you could just pick one person, that would be the dream interview.
I did. It was Milo Hanson. We got him.
And we got
him on the show, you know.
Right.
We're pumped up. I hope you all are pumped up out there, the listeners, because Milo Hanson is about to get on the podcast with us.
I'm pumped up. Dusty's pumped up. And I want you to be pumped up too, because we're bringing Milo Hanson to you right now to listen to the story as retold by Milo Hanson himself from November 23rd, 1993, to hang a world record buck on his wall in his trophy room forever.
213 and 5/8 inches.
Unbelievable.
World record typical whitetail. Yeah. Unbelievable. Let's call him up, Jay.
Let's get him. I'm just out of my skin ready for this. Let's do this. Let's just do this.
Let's do it. I'm so pumped. Let's go.
All right. How are things in Saskatchewan these days?
Well, we're warmed up. Well, it's still a little chilly, but not bad at all. Slowly going, and winter's going to be done pretty soon.
Awesome. Now, what's cold to you?
What's cold? Well, today is in the minuses, so, and that's in Celsius, so we'd be like, I think in the morning, minus 11, 12, and then during the day, we're probably minus 3 or 4. And
Gotcha.
We're supposed to be that way this week, and then next week, starting up to warm up above 0, which is 32.
That's crazy. We're complaining about 47, so you've got a little thicker than we do. Very nice.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, Milo. It's a pleasure to talk to you. And
no problem.
We've got a bunch of stuff we'd like to cover. I don't know if you'd be up for going back in time a little bit and telling us a little story.
Sure.
Awesome.
Name of the game.
Exactly. You hold the record for the most perfect big whitetail in the world, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so far.
The world record typical.
That's amazing. Yeah. Milo, where are you located right now?
I'm on a farm, Bigger, Saskatchewan, Canada. We're towards the western part of Saskatchewan and partway up to the north from the border of Montana. this winter, we were one of the coldest winters. We were in minus 30 to 40 with the wind chills.
Wow.
Some wind chills were up to minus 50.
No kidding. What does that do to your deer population?
It's hard on the deer population. Last winter, we had a real hard winter with lots of snow. And in this area, we lost probably 50 to 60% of our whitetail deer.
No kidding. That's insane. I just can't even imagine that. I saw a picture on your Facebook page, and you had a picture of a bunch of does walking around. Was that recent, or was that earlier
That
this
was
year?
last winter.
Last winter. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we had about 40 of them living in our yard.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
So-
well, we fed them over here, threw out some bales out, and
Yeah.
the bin doors were open, and some of the deer stayed around our house even for protection from, I think, predators, you know.
Oh, right. Yeah, sure. That makes sense. They're smart.
We have no outside dogs, so, yeah, they
Right. That makes
stayed
sense.
around the house.
Deer are smart when they figured that kind of stuff out. So
For sure, yeah.
So you're in Bigger, Saskatchewan. And
You know, I gotta say something about Bigger. You know, if you roll into Bigger, you're going to see a sign that says "New York is big, but this is bigger." You recall any of them signs out there, Milo?
Oh, I do, yeah. Yeah, that sign is really famous,
Yeah, for sure.
and it's been there for a long, long time.
That's very cool. Now, Milo, you were born in Canada?
I was born in Canada. I was born in the western part of Saskatchewan, probably 3.5 hour drive north or south of me right now, down along the Frenchman River.
Gotcha. And what year were you born?
1994. So I'm getting to be an old guy.
Gotcha. And are you married?
I'm married, yeah. Got one son. He's 43 years old, and I got two grandsons, one 13 and one 10. Yeah.
And what's your wife's name?
Olive.
Olive. Excellent. And from what I understand, it's Olive's farm, I believe, correct? Is that the farm you moved to?
Yeah, it was Olive's mother and dad's farm we moved on to, yeah.
Very cool. Milo, I'd like to go back,
1969.
if we could.
Sure.
You moved to Bigger in the 70s, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yeah, 1969.
1969. What was life back?
Yeah.
What was life like back in 1969 in Bigger, Saskatchewan?
Yeah, I'll tell you, when I first married Olive and we came up here hunting, we actually didn't have any deer right around here. We had to go farther north. And the deer filled in, and migrated in just like the moose we have here now. And yeah.
I got to ask, did the deer population, did it increase with the livestock sales in 1970 being on the decline?
Oh, for sure, yeah. No, our deer population we had, good numbers, good ratios, and they were good right up till the last couple of years. We had the hard winter in 2013. Killed off, 50 to 60% of the whitetail. Mule deer seemed to, handle it okay. And, there were some of them died off, and the moose handled it okay.
Gotcha. Milo, have you been working on a farm your whole life, or have you done other things?
I did other things, yeah. When I first got out of school, I worked on oil rigs. And then when I married Olive, I worked at the co-op, and then I went to another small town and was the lumber manager there. And then from the lumber manager, I went to the general manager. And then in 1968, Olive's dad died. So we moved back actually just at the end of 1968, and we started farming. Our first year was 1969, and we've been here ever since.
That's awesome. You've been deer hunting your whole life as well.
Oh, yeah. You grew up on I'm from a farm down in the southwest of Saskatchewan, and that's what you did. You walked all over with a shotgun and shooting rabbits and birds, and then you went to deer hunting with your dad and your grandpa. And, yeah.
Who would you say was the person that taught you how to hunt?
Well, it'd be my dad for sure. Yeah. And my grandpa. I used to camp. He had a little farm down on the flat, and we would camp down along the river, and we would hunt like bush rabbits to eat, and cook them out there and sleep in the tent. And so it started there, with a little 22 shorts. And I hunted, deer with my dad.
That's very cool. Can you recall any of the little tips or tricks that he taught you along the way?
Probably patience is the biggest thing. You need patience to be able to hunt deer.
Yeah, that's a great
the main
tip.
thing, And my dad was a really patient man.
That's a beautiful tip. I couldn't agree with that more. I'd like to go back a little bit, Milo, and to almost like a time machine. I'd like you to take us back to 1993. if you could.
Sure, yeah.
So you moved to the farm in 1969, and then you fast forward a few years, 30 years or so, and you're working on hunting whitetail out there on the big farm that you moved to. And how did you first get introduced to the world record buck that you eventually shot?
Yeah, actually in 1993, our bus driver, Jim Angelopoulos, actually seen him with a bus route, and they actually stopped one day and looked at him in the field, eh? And then a few other guys had seen him, and they all talked about this giant, they said like a baby, like an elk or something like that. So 1993, we actually went out looking for him, and I was with a group, I wasn't by myself, and we hunted him for the whole week. And a couple times during that week, Walter Meager seen him, but we had no fresh tracks, and it was like, a lot of deer tracks all over, so you couldn't track up on him. And we're in rolling land with 20 to 30% of land is low parts with willows and astens or poplars.
Yep.
So we hunted him right through the whole week. And the next week, we hunted. I didn't go out hunting Monday because I had to catch up on a bunch of my farm work. Those guys went out, and with no success. And then Monday night, it turned cold and started to snow. We decided where we were going to meet up. When John picked me up and we went to where Walter and Rennie were, we seen their eyes were just bulged right out. And they said they had seen him, and he was down in his probably 20, 30 acre willow run. And they were pretty good on a high advantage point, and they said he hasn't came out. So actually we formed a drive, and I was on the north end, and we split up, guys on both sides. And Rennie walked through the center of it, and it's just by luck that he came out, because we walked that before, and the buck will just go around you and stay in there because it's heavy enough, But he came out, and that's the first time I seen him. And the three guys shot at him, but missed. But when I seen him going, he looked like this baby elk that everybody was talking about.
A baby elk.
Yeah, or an elk,
That's what they were describing him as, the baby elk.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a unique deer right there when they're calling it the baby elk.
Yeah. So some of your buddies had seen or glimpses of the buck at this point. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Walter had seen it a couple times.
Now, who is Walter? Tell me more.
Seen it, but then when we tried to follow up on it, we lost his tracks because there were so many deer tracks.
Gotcha. Who is Walter? Tell me about your hunting party that you were with.
Yeah, I was with Walter Meager. We've been friends ever since I came up here. Rennie Agini and John Oroshko, which is our neighbor just over here. These are all neighbors right around here, right?
And those guys that you hunt with, do they farm as well? What else do they do?
Yeah, three guys farm, and the other guy works for a farmer. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a farming community where you're at,
Oh, for sure, yeah. Farming and cattle and stuff. Yeah.
So,
but anyway, after we spooked him out the first time, he went into where the feeding area was. There'd been a lot of deer tracks overnight, even though there was fresh snow. Mm-hmm. And we lost him for a while, and by accident, we spooked him out of this other bluff. And then he went across and went onto my land. And we drove up there and made another drive. And this time when he came out on my side. And, well, actually, John Oroshko was with me, and we were standing there, and we both shot, and we just couldn't believe the size of him. His horns just looked oversized for the body. He was only probably a 200-pound deer.
Interesting.
And he ran into another bluff. We made another drive, and this time he came out on my side, and I made the shot. And I hit the top of his back, and there was fur flying off the top of his back.
Okay.
And part of that bullet split apart and ended up in that right antler, eh?
Oh, no kidding.
He went into another bluff. I ran up there, and I could see him, and I shot him in the shoulder. And he went down. And then I went up there, and he was still alive, so I shot him in the neck. And then I started shaking because, my legs are 29 inches, and that's what his outside spread is 29 inches. So
Wow.
There was no ground shrink.
No kidding. So you were on this push, basically, and then
yeah.
The buck just happened to come out where you had some good shooting lanes.
Oh, for sure, yeah. He could have went out any side, or it was just my day, eh?
How far away was he when you first shot?
Probably 100 yards, something like that, running.
Okay. And so you saw the hair come flying off the back.
I did, yeah.
So
I I thought it was steam coming off the back, but it was cutting that hair, and it did hit some of the rib bones as it went, like, you know.
Oh, wow.
And he stumbled down on that because part of the lead went into the horn, and he got up, and then he went into that other bluff, eh?
Wow. So when the bullet hit, it split, and some went into the horn, and some took some of the hair off. Wow.
Yeah, that lead is still in the horn there, eh?
Oh,
Wow.
Interesting.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it should have blew off, but we didn't even notice it right away till we brought it home, and it wasn't cracked, but as it dried out, it developed a crack in the right antler. Eh?
Gotcha.
Right, that's Buckzilla if he can take a lead in the antler.
Yeah. But actually, that deer, our neighbor boy, actually had a hunt on him on Monday. He got married actually on Saturday, and he was going to go on his honeymoon.
Yeah.
And during Sunday night, his sister seen it, and so she told him about it. So he went out there, and he seen where it was, so he had to go get a friend to help him push it out.
Yeah.
And he did empty his clip, and it ran away, and then he went on his honeymoon. When he came back, he came over and looked at it, and he said, yeah, that's the one I shot at.
Wow.
Did he hit it at all?
No, he didn't. No.
Gotcha. Do you remember what day of the week it was that you were hunting?
Yeah, it was Tuesday that I got him.
Tuesday, and it was Tuesday, November 15th, 1993.
No, November 23rd.
November 23rd, 1993. That was the kill day. Gotcha. And
Yeah.
you had seen him, right, on, I think it was on November 15th, as I recall reading a story about it at one time.
Yeah, well, Walter had seen him
Walter had seen him.
because we hunted that first week, whatever day that is. And Walter had seen him, I think, on Thursday of that week, eh?
So Thursday, the weekend went by. The
Yeah.
buck had a clip unloaded on him at some point in previous to that, and then on a Tuesday, November 23rd, 1993, was the day that you harvested what appeared to be a baby elk. It turns out to be the world record buck.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And, you know, that's the only deer I've shot that didn't have no ground shrink. I mean, his horns just look bigger when you're beside him, eh?
Right.
Wow. Tell
And,
us
you know,
what
I hadn't had a cigarette for 3 years, and when I came out of the bush, one of the guys smoked there and said, give me a cigarette. It made me dizzy in there, but-
So you see the deer, and you're shaking like a leaf, and you're trying.
Oh, you want to believe it?
You're trying to put the cigarette in your mouth for the first cigarette you've had in 3 years. How did that go? How did each puff go?
Oh, not good. I mean, yeah, you know what? If you haven't had smoked for 3 years, and you know, it's not good. But anyway, it maybe settled my nerves down.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, I could only imagine the feeling you had when you shot when you harvest that buck, Milo. It had to be awesome. Tell us about how pumped up were you when you seen how big he really was?
Oh, big time! Like that's why I said I was just shaking. You know, like major shaking. Like you know. If I'd have been shaking like that when I was shooting at it, I'd have never gotten him, eh?
All right, that's awesome. Tell us a little bit about your hunting gear in 1993. What did you have on while you was hunting?
Actually, they were just coveralls, you know, white coveralls I bought at McLeod's. And my rifle was a 308 Winchester Model 88 with a Weaver 4K scope.
Yeah.
And I bought that gun and scope in the 70s for $169.
You said it was a 4-power scope?
4, yeah.
Wow.
It was just one that 4 power. That was it.
Yeah, it's just a standard 4-power scope. And
Yeah.
you said a 308 and an 88 series. That's a lever action, ain't it?
That's a lever action. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That just makes it that much more cooler that you shot it with a lever action rifle. That's awesome.
Yeah. Actually, I still got the gun, and a guy from Pennsylvania, Dane Hawkinsmith, did a carving on it on the stock for me.
Really?
And it's a beautiful carving on there, eh?
Right. What did that buck taste like?
Taste like?
Yeah. Well, how'd he taste?
You have to ask Jim Zumbo. He ate some of it.
Oh yeah. Was it?
You know Jim Zumbo?
Yeah, I know. I know who you're talking about. Sure.
Yeah. Actually, I took some of it down to the SHOT Show in '94.
Yeah.
And Outdoor Life had a little, you know, they cooked it and ate it. Yeah, it was good. He was really good eating. Yeah.
So
He wasn't an
Milo,
old deer, probably 4.5 years old is what the biologist said.
so it was only 4.5 years old, and you developed a rack like that. What do you attribute that rack to? What was the reason that there was?
Well, we had actually wet summers and warm winters, you know, and he had the right mom and dad, and you know, he didn't get shot too early, and there was no damage on his horns growing him. Eh? So I mean, it all had to come together, you know, not just one thing, but.
I got a question.
He had the right gene pool, the right father, and the right mother to, you know.
Sure. Now,
and the right growing seasons, you know, to get it that big, you know.
when you were hunting that deer, and I'm not sure what the mindset was or is where you are, but were you guys thinking world record at that point, or were you just thinking this is a big deer? I'd really like to have this deer.
Just a big deer. Even after I shot it, we brought it home and hung it up in our shop. And usually we eat our lunch out in the field, like, and have a cookout, start a fire. But that day we just sat on benches and looked at it in the shop. Not one of us thought world record. Everybody said, holy man, I'm going to get the trophy in town this year. Not thinking past town. And then a friend of mine, Adam Ivashenko, he was gone at the time. And actually, I missed some of the story because he actually seen it earlier in muzzleloader season. And he went out and couldn't get a shot at it. But when I shot the deer, he was gone moose hunting up north. When he came back, he measured for our club here.
Yeah.
He measured it, and he said, either I made a mistake or this is a world record. So at that time, I didn't even know what the world record was. So we went to Bruce Kushnier's, and he had a book there, and we looked, and yeah.
So you guys were
206 and 1/8, and this is the green score was 214 and 4/8.
So you weren't really paying attention to records. Is that something that the group of you would pay attention to? Like, did you follow?
No, it was basically local.
You're just trying
to big buck night.
Trying to win the local deer pool. It sounds like. Yeah. Hey, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't even know about the Jordan buck. Now I know lots about all that stuff. But,
right. Interesting.
No, we just didn't pay attention to that stuff.
So you sat around the camp at night and you guys just kind of stared at it, huh?
Well, yeah, hanging there, and then the other guys wanted to go out, and I still had a doe tag, and we had doe tags at that time, so we went back out, and we met Gerald Melstravich, and he'd been looking for this deer too. So we met him at our gate here to the west, about a mile from our place, and I said, "You might as well go back to your own area, Jerry, because I just shot that deer." He said, "Well, where is it?" He looked in the back, and we said, "Well, it's in the shop." So we went on hunting, and he went to the shop, and then he went to town and told everybody. We came home. Here's a whole slug of half-ton sitting, looking around, sitting in the shop looking at that deer.
Yeah. How many?
We didn't even get a good field photo of it. I went and got the camera. I didn't realize the thing was empty, and I thought it said 3. And I took pictures, but no film in the camera. That's how nervous I was.
I'd say that's pretty nervous.
Yeah.
What did Olive say?
Well, right away she was excited, but for the first 3 months, it was like a disaster in here. And she said, "I think I'll break this record with a hammer pretty soon." The phone wouldn't get ringing, people coming nonstop, It took a while to get used to this because we weren't used to, all this, attention. And I mean, yeah, she was getting a little perturbed with it, yeah. But,
interesting.
No, she got over it.
So once the word got out that there was a big deer shot in Bigger, Saskatchewan, and that it might be the world record, things changed in Bigger.
Oh, yeah. Big time, yeah.
How did it change? What was it like?
There's a big statue of the deer outside of town.
So there's a statue erected, and how did the town adjust initially? I mean, I'm sure things kind of settled down after a while, but what was life like before and after?
Yeah, well, actually, we had a meeting with people in town, and they were really good. And actually, at the scoring day, we actually had it in the school auditorium at the 60-day dry down, and there was about 400 people there. There was our political representatives there, our president of our wildlife federation. It was a big, big deal. Eh? And as they scored it, they had big 4x8 sheets on the wall made up like a score sheet, and they would write in the score, and everybody would clap. Yeah.
Interesting.
It was a big deal.
Tell us what the tine length, start like with the brow tines out to G2, 3s and go on out. If you recall, Milo, what's the length on the tines? Yeah,
the longest ones are 14 inches. The brows, I think, are 6, and the beams are 27, and the inside spread is 27 and 1/8. Outside spread is 29. And I actually don't have a score sheet in front of me.
Oh, you're doing good though. That's some major tine length and some main beam length. Yeah. That's a world record for sure.
Yeah, and I think the circumference is a little light on there, but they were 5 inches, and I think they came out to 4 circumferences on each side around 36 inches.
Nice. That's just an awesome rack.
Now, where does the mount rest today, Milo?
In my little trophy room downstairs.
And how many other?
I still have it. Yeah.
Oh, that's excellent. I would still have that too. How many other whitetails are hanging in the room with it?
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 2 mule deer. And then our shop out there, we got a bunch on the wall there, like just on boards and whatever.
Gotcha.
Nailed on the wall. Like.
And this deer or this mount has been recreated how many times now?
Probably replicated around 50 times.
Wow.
Yeah, like I sell them. I'm the only one that sells them. We're supposed to be selling them. And I get them made down the States. Mike Gillis makes them in Wisconsin.
Okay.
And Tom Sexton paints them for me.
Gotcha. Oh.
And then I have a contract that, whoever wants to buy it, has got to sign a contract that they, won't replicate it or do
I see.
with
So
it.
you can have one replicated, but you won't replicate it after that.
No, I don't want it replicated after that. No.
No, of course not.
I have the copyright and trademark. I got a legal trademark, like it went through lawyers and all that stuff and got that done.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so this not only has so the deer has gone from legend to trademark at this point.
Yeah.
Absolutely fascinating. Where did you check the buck in when you back in 1993?
Oh, actually, like you don't have to check it in Saskatchewan.
Okay.
Yeah, but like Adam Ivashenko, the guy I told you about, he came over and measured it for our club.
Okay.
We have a bigger Wildlife Federation club.
Okay.
And he came and measured it for our club,
So you didn't have to check
and then I took it to Sunnydale, Big Buck Night, and a few other big nights, buck nights.
Sure. Gotcha. So
and this word got around, and there wasn't even email then or texting or nothing. It just went by phone.
So the word spread by phone back then. You're right. Everything was just a tethered cord. There was no cell phone. The internet was just
no cell phone, no nothing.
Not really doing. Email was not really being spread, but the word spread. So did you have like reporters coming in from all over the place to talk to you at that point?
Oh yeah, we had North American Whitetail come one day. Well, they had phoned us naturally.
Sure.
And Gordon Whittington and the owner then was Steve Vaughn flew in, and at the same time Jim Zumbo wanted the story for Outdoor Life.
Right.
So they were bidding against each other, and I didn't know there was a value in the story, but actually I got $6,500 from North American Whitetail because they were sitting in our house.
Wow.
And Jim Zumbo said they wanted the second right to it, and I got $6,000 for that.
That's amazing.
And I would have gave it away for nothing if there wouldn't have been two people wanting it at the same time.
Right. Has your life changed any?
It did. Now it's back to normal.
Okay.
I used to go for like 2 months at a time traveling with it. The big outdoor sports shows would hire me to come, and I'd be gone like 2 months at a time. And now I don't go around showing it anymore. I've sold it to a few places where they can go and show it. Like National Rifle Association has bought 2, and in their displays they go around showing. And the All Canada show sold them one, and they have it at their shows.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
How old are you now, Milo?
I'm 68.
You're 68.
Yeah.
Do you still hunt today?
I still hunt, yeah. Still do the same. Still hunt with the same guy. Well, one of the guys here died a couple of years ago. He was 83 already.
Gotcha. And do you have other generations that are following behind you?
Well, actually, my son hasn't hunted for a while because he was so busy, but his son is going to start hunting next year, so he's going to start up again, he said. Yeah.
That's awesome.
The younger generations are so busy doing their own thing. That...
Has the landscape of where you've hunted or where you took the big buck, has that been memorialized, or can you still hunt that area? Or how has the hunting changed since you shot the deer? I would imagine it got kind of popular.
It actually, never changed that much. At first, everybody was worried that everybody would come into this area, and some people posted their land. I didn't. And it never changed, really. See, an American can't hunt right here. He's going to be with an outfitter on the Forest Fringe, Crown Land.
Okay.
Or actually just 20-some miles north of us is the Indian Reservation, so they can hunt in there, eh? But right around here, the Saskatchewan wildlife rules is you have to be with an outfitter, eh?
Gotcha. So it's not like you can just go get a license and walk in there and start hunting.
No, but Canadian can, and we had quite a few after a while. Canadians, like I had a young guy from Quebec come up here hunting, just looking for trophy. Had some guys from BC and stuff, but they were all nice people, really respectful. And
Yeah. What's
so it
do you-
never changed really that much, the hunting pressure.
Okay, so it hasn't changed much over the years.
No, not really.
Do you ever hunt the same spot where you harvested the world record?
Oh, all the time. It was on my land. Yeah.
Gotcha. So you go back there. I would too. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Have you ever seen
Yeah, where I
any?
shot that deer, every time that's a field next to it, eh? It goes through my mind, every time.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So in your mind, as you're standing there hunting every year since then, you recreate the exact moment in your head
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
over and over and
And
over.
the size of it, I can't even explain the size of it, but I've gotten excited and shot smaller deer and just got so excited I shot them, and my wife said, "How come you shot that?" But, I did get excited, and that was amazing. And it's a 140 deer,
Why'd you shoot that small one, Milo?
Yeah.
They're all trophies though.
Yeah. As long as you get excited, that's amazing.
That's excellent. Now, does Olive hunt with you, or is she a non-hunter?
She used to hunt all the time, but then she quit, eh? Yeah.
Gotcha.
A couple of years ago, we were gone for moose, and she went hunting moose, eh? See, we never used to have moose in this area, and now we got moose,
Oh,
You
interesting.
can go out hunt. What's that?
So you've had moose move into the area since 1993,
Oh, yeah.
and that's
We've
kind
had
of new.
four moose coming. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I don't know what pushed them out. The fires in the north or the wolves. And they're just thriving out in the agricultural land here because they got no predators. Coyotes can't hurt them. The only thing hurts them is cars and trucks.
Right. Is it affecting any of the browse for the deer or any of the food?
I don't think so. No, they're loners. Moose. They're not in bunches. So you see one or two here and one or two there.
Gotcha. Is there?
No, our biggest thing was our winter last year. Eh?
Gotcha. It's probably
So-
taking its
So
toll.
much snow. Eh?
Have you seen any other deer since 1993? Any bucks that have come close to what you thought might be as big as the one that you shot?
Yeah, no, actually, the 1994, I shot another Boone Crockett. He grossed 187, netted 171 and 3/8.
Wow.
And, he's like,
So that-
at the bottom end of the scale, and the other one's at the top.
You said in '94, so that's back to back Boone and Crockett,
Yeah.
Boone and Crockett whitetails. That's awesome.
So you had a couple of pretty good
He
years.
looked big. Yeah. And after that's been going downhill.
It's been going downhill
160s
since
and
then.
165.
Gotcha.
140s.
What do you have planned for this season? The next fall? Do you have?
Yeah.
How does it? How do you usually set up? Do you start hanging out with your buddies and then start doing some scouting?
Yeah, we do scouting. You're farming this land, so you're scouting all the time, eh? And
Right,
what we do now, we're all older. We got stands all over, so we're doing a lot of stand hunting now, eh?
Oh, interesting. So back,
which we never did before, eh?
you used to do a lot of pushing back in the
Pushing,
90s.
yeah.
Yep. With a
Yeah,
gr-
now not too much, a little bit. If you get in, if you see one and you figure you got to get it out of there. But most of the time, it's just stand hunting,
Okay. What kind of stands are you using?
What's that?
What kind of stands are you using?
Actually, I got a big homemade. It's a ground one. It's a homemade one. It's 11 by 12, and a table in there, and a big wood burner. And yeah, it's not because the winter, it can be 20 below when you're out there and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, but
Most of the guys got their own homemade stuff.
gotcha.
Did I hear you say you got a wood burner in there, Milo?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a nice stand.
That's,
Yeah.
It reminds me of we interviewed a fellow by the name of Dave Hoffman down in Pennsylvania who makes these giant, beautiful deer stands in the trees. They're like tree houses. And sounds kind of like what you're doing there.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. So
I've got mine tin on the outside and tin roof, and then all painted, just insulated, double walled with insulation.
it sounds like you need to
So
have
it's nice
that.
and warm in there.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. Now,
You can sleep in there, whatever.
have you adopted any? I mean, I see you're on Facebook, and I see you probably have a cell phone. Do you find yourself trying to capture more hunting moments with some of the new technologies that are out there, like videotape and stuff like that?
No, I never went there. No, I got those Primo's cameras out, but
Yep.
that's about as far as I went. Yeah.
Gotcha. Have you ever?
Actually, I don't even carry a camera with me.
You don't? Okay. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, like we never did before, and I got a. Well, you know what I'm talking to you right now? That's a cell phone. Eh? We don't have a landline.
Okay, so you're on a cell phone right now.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Would you say that you're going to continue to hunt as long as you can?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I still enjoy it. So, and now that my grandsons are going to be starting and my son again, I'm going to probably do a lot more.
Gotcha. Is there anything from that moment on that hunt in that day that you can remember that you haven't really shared with any of the other reporters?
I've shared so much.
So much, yeah.
Yeah, I can't really tell you.
Would you do it all again?
For sure, yeah. Yeah. Even though, at first, it gets overwhelming. That phone would not quit ringing, And all of it is good people phoning you, but then some people are trying to buy it, trading you trucks or whatever. And, and at that time, I didn't even know why somebody would want to buy another person's deer, I didn't know there was a market out there like it is,
You didn't know what you had at that point.
No, I didn't know that, you can market almost anything with this hunting stuff,
Right.
No, I didn't know what I had, I guess, So I had a fast learning curve. I had to learn lots quick.
I bet. So
then I traveled probably for 8-10 years, and then I quit.
Wow. So you shoot one deer, your life changes completely. You travel for 18 years, and just now it's getting back to normal. Yeah. Unbelievable.
But we still have lots of people phone or stop in. Or that one year we had, I don't know how many people from Alaska stopping in. All of it. Where the hell's Alaska? Over the hill here? People that were from the mainland United States and living in Alaska, and they're going back to visit family, and they marked off bigger as they're driving. They got lost right through Saskatchewan. They stopped in.
Right. Dusty, what other questions do you have for Milo?
Milo, tell us what your best memories of killing a world record buck. What your number one most memorable moment after you shot your buck?
Oh boy. The most thing I was thinking about was just shaking.
Right, but let's go beyond that. Let's go to after you found out it was world record. What was one of the most unique things that happened because you shot the world record buck?
Some of the people I got to meet, like Bill Jordan, David Bland, Gordon Whittington, Jim Zumbo. I met Larry Hoffman there. All these people that I met, and they were all, so intrigued with deer,
Right, that's very cool.
And some of the people I met, and I actually ended up with some good friends that come hunting with us. He hasn't come for the last couple of years, but from New Brunswick, and that's on the eastern part of Canada,
Right.
And how I met him is we ended up at a snowstorm. We were going through upper New York, and that ice storm hit that time, and all our hotels were tied up by linemen, So we had the hotel put a bunch of guys together, and I met him. And after that, he came here for 10 years hunting with us.
That's very cool. That's kind of what it's all about is the adventure and the people. And I'm gonna tell you, sure. I posted. Jay and I both have pages, and mine's Chubby Tines Outdoors on Facebook, and you can look me up and give me a like if you would. But I posted that I'm interviewing Milo Hanson as I type this, and I put Big Buck Racer, Big Buck Podcast, and I hashtag World Record Buck. A guy from Kentucky says, "Tell him us guys here in Kentucky are still chasing the monster to knock him out of first place." I thought that was pretty cool.
That's the name of the game. Yeah.
The guy's name was Eric Tangles. Eric, I posted it for you, buddy, and I told him, and that is the name of the game. And Milo, what a great, great, great story, and we're very honored to have you on.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, Milo, we sincerely appreciate you taking some time out of your life to share the rest of the story of what happened back in 1993 and everything that's happened for you since then. It sounds like everything was positive, a bit overwhelming and maybe annoying at times, but it sounds like it was overall an incredible positive experience.
It was, yeah. No, actually, I was sort of in a shell. Like now I'm more outgoing, so that helped. I could never be in front of a bunch of people, or I've even, did some kind of seminars there, which I thought I could never do in my life.
Sure. If you had a hunting tip that you would say you execute more frequently than anything else while you're hunting, what would that be?
What I told you my dad taught me, patience.
Patience.
Yeah.
Patience.
I mean, that's what it takes.
And how about
you got to be in the right area, and you got to do your scouting. You got to
Right.
find out what's in the area. But after that, I mean, you just got to sit and wait.
And would you say a good luck charm might be a good idea?
Oh yeah, that's a big part of it.
Gotcha. And I had one other last question before we let you go, Milo. Back when you were doing your deer drives in '93, I would assume that scent control wasn't a big deal because you're pushing, you're trying to get the deer to pop out of an area into another area.
Yeah.
These days, sounds like you're doing more stand hunting. Have you adopted any of the scent control type scents or things or concepts or just the mentality to try to keep your scent under control?
No, not really.
Okay.
No, just wind,
Yep.
is a big thing, and
That's what I wanted to hear. That's excellent.
yeah.
Excellent.
No, we don't have a lot of gadgetry. That those gadgetry companies go broke in Saskatchewan here.
Oh, that's excellent. Oh, man. That's hilarious. Dusty, any last questions for Milo before we let him get back?
No, I don't, Milo. And like I said, we couldn't. We're really honored to have you on, and what a legendary buck that you've harvested. And I'm definitely going to pass it on to my kids, grandkids, and there on after. Just because it's a unique story, and you sound like a great person. And like I said, me and Jay are very honored to have you on.
Well, thanks for having me there, Dusty.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Milo. I appreciate it, and we'll send you a link when the show's out, and hopefully you'll enjoy it, and maybe we can have you back on again.
Sure. Yeah, no problem.
Very cool. Dusty?
Oh, man. We may have to take like a minute pause, dude. I'm kind of shaking.
I think I need a moment.
Oh, my God. We just interviewed and got the story on the Milo Hanson buck.
Yep. The story's been told 1,000,000 times. The story's been rewritten 1,000,000 times. The deer itself has been recreated 1,000,000 times. Well, 50, technically, according to Milo.
Right.
But I don't think Milo has ever been on a buck or a podcast, period, that I'm aware of. He did,
until now.
and if you listen closely at the end, he didn't know exactly what a podcast was. So we've got to be the first.
This is legendary. With a legendary buck, a legendary gentleman. Milo Hanson, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Milo Hanson. And this is historical, Dusty. This might have been the first podcast that Milo Hanson has ever been interviewed on.
That's awesome. It only happens on the Big Buck Registry Big Buck podcast. That's what we're here for. We're here to get great, legendary big buck stories like Milo Hanson and the Hanson Buck, 1993 world record, typical Boone and Crockett, 213 5/8 inches. Right. It doesn't get no better than this.
And we're doing it for, well, I'm a little selfish about this one, I'll admit, but I'm doing it for you, the person that is sitting in the chair, driving her car, out to the tree stand, to work, wherever you're listening to this, on your computer, on your headset, your earphones, on your iPhone, wherever. We're doing this for you. If you're a hunter, you have to appreciate this show.
If you're a hunter, this is the one that you don't want to miss.
Right. Milo Hanson is 68 years old. Is that correct?
Born in 1945.
Yeah, I think he's 68 is what he said. And we've captured his voice forever, as we have vowed to do, to protect the story, sport, and spirit of big buck deer hunting. That was it.
It don't get no better, Jay.
No.
I'm honored to be sitting here with you and to be able to say that we just got off the phone with legendary Milo Hanson.
There isn't a hunter in the United States or Canada that hasn't heard about this deer.
Absolutely.
And we talked to him. We talked to Milo Hanson.
We just did. I mean, I'm so pumped. That
just happened.
It did just happen. I can't even talk right now. I'm so jacked up about it. So crazy. But that's the Big Buck Registry right there. The Big Buck Podcast. That's what we're here for.
Right.
Stories like that.
And I have to say, Dusty, kudos to you, because you took that legendary bloodhound killer instinct of yours and you went and found Milo and picked up the phone without any inhibitions and got him on the phone to say, hey, Milo, would you be on our show?
I did, and I did it for us being selfish, me and you, and also I definitely want our listeners to be able to hear Milo Hanson's story.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about, to record and protect and preserve those stories as you're hearing here today. Wow.
Double wow. Wow.
Unbelievable.
It was awesome, man. I can't be more thrilled for our listeners and for us and the Big Buck Registry, Big Buck podcast. It just, this is one awesome moment right here for us.
Yeah. If we never do another show again, I'm okay.
I have to agree to that.
Yeah. But
that just drives us to go do more podcasts, because just find more unique stories like Milo's. And, that's what drives us. That's what keeps us going. And we're going to keep going. There's no stopping here.
I love listening to Milo. He has a great Canadian accent, and he was more than willing to tell his story. And to think that he first told his story for $6,500 a pop, and he just did it for free for us.
Yeah, and thanks again, Milo. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Milo. Just amazing. Dusty, that's all the show I've got in me today.
I think I'm done too.
I'm done.
I'm ready to get off here and sit in my office chair in the studio and just soak all this in that we just got off the phone with Milo Hanson. And what a great story. What a great guy. I'm
gonna send you the unedited MP3 when we're done.
Yeah, I definitely want that.
You need that.
I'm going out like this. I'm Dusty Phillips with Chubby Tines Outdoors. I am so jacked up. We just talked to Milo Hanson. I got to get off here and soak all this in. Jay, tell us about you.
All right, man. I'm just pumped up. Jay Scott, Big Buck Registry, Big Buck Podcast. You can find us on Facebook.com/Big Buck Registry. You will hear this show with 8 million links on Facebook, on Twitter. We'll send links to the show on iTunes and Stitcher and Blueberry. You'll be able to Google it, and it'll be Milo Hanson, the story of the Milo Hanson buck told by Milo Hanson, and you will find it. And I'm still pumped up. But
I'm overwhelmed.
Send me an email if you want, jay@bigbuckregistry.com. You can always call the show, and please leave us some feedback about this show, because this is a big one. 724-613-2825. And man, I'm Jay Scott.
I'm Dusty Phillips.
It's the Big Buck Registry's Big Buck Podcast. See you next week.
Can't wait.